ఖాళీ గోల. నేను వేరే పని మీద ఉన్నానా, ఖాళీగా కూర్చున్నాను. different. Hello, sir. Namaste, sir. గారు బయటికి వెళ్ళాలి. హలో
హలో బాలప్రకాష్ సార్, గుడ్ మార్నింగ్
సార్. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్.
ఇదంతా అయిపోయిన తర్వాత మీరు మీ మార్క్స్ వేసి పంపించండి.
అలాగే సార్. ఇది మొబైల్లో లాగిన్ అవ్వడానికి ఏమన్నా పాసిబిలిటీ ఉందా సార్?
మొబైల్లో ఉందనుకుంటాగా.
ఇది
ఏం కాదు, ఒకటే కదా
అవుతుంది సార్. అదే
లింక్
దాని
నొక్కితే వచ్చేస్తుంది కదా.
ఆ లింక్ మీద క్లిక్ చేస్తే రాలేదు. అదే చూస్తున్నాను. లింక్ ఎలా పేస్ట్ చేయాలో అది చూస్తాను.
ఈవినింగ్ ఎన్ని చేస్తారు ప్రెజెంటేషన్?
3
మొత్తం కలిపి
అంతే కదా. మీరు అదే కదా.
నేను 2 ఇంకోటి అయిందా దాని 3 అంటేను
ఏం లేదు చెప్తాను.
ఇంకా ఇంకా లేట్ అవుతుందేమో సార్. వేణుగోపాలరావు సార్. గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ సార్. హలో హలో సార్, am I audible, sir?
Good morning. Audible. You are audible.
Sir, I think may have to wait for 5 or 10 more minutes now, sir.
No, just we'll starting. Actually, the main
Okay.
conference is just starting. Just 1 or 2 minutes only. We are going to start.
Okay, right. Okay, sir. No problem.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, myself, Dr. Charu Bisaria, and Kavita has also joined, sir.
Okay. Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Just 1 minute. Then 1 minute we will start. Please.
Sir, can you please open your camera?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, you are visible, Kavita.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Kavita, please share your slides.
Is this visible? My slide is visible?
Not yet, Kavita. there is a button at the bottom where you can share it.
Yes, ma'am.
देखो stop video के बगल में share.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. How it is.
Now it is visible.
I think it is visible now, ma'am.
Yes, Kavita, please put it on slideshow mode from beginning.
Okay.
Yes.
May I start the presentation?
Madam, please just a moment. Please wait it because that is main session is going on. Just 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Good morning, dear participants and dear judges. So we will start the day 2 session. We will go to the first presentation of today's session. The author name Kabita Kumari and the paper title Impact of ICT in Higher Education, Opportunities and Challenges. Ma'am, you can start.
Good morning, organizing committee and all the panelists and all the presenters. I am Kavita Kumari Chaturvedi, research scholar of Amity Business School, Lucknow campus. And the title of my paper is Impact of ICT in Higher Education, Opportunity and Challenges. ICT has grown ambiguous in all aspects of the life. ICT has started take part in the education, but the effect of has not been as large as other sectors. With the world increasingly moving into the electronic news and technology, however, the function of ICT in education has grown up and developed in the 21st century. The involvement of learning at distance and the online education classes increase admittance to the quality of education and improve the access of the country remote regions. There is still some difficulties in higher education using ICT despite many benefit and opportunities. In this context, my paper is discuss the possibility and threats the ICT will face the integrating into the current scenario with the special reference of Uttar Pradesh in the specific facet of higher education. Introduction. ICT is defined as a collection of technical appliances and assets transmit, generate, and distribute, collect, and manage data. Many aspects of our daily life have been altered by the ICT. 10 years ago, the emphasis was placed on the education and managerial training as well as a teacher education. In recent years, an increasing number of foreign development organizations have organized importance of ICT to improve the educational system. This change has greatly enhanced the dependence on ICT for a higher education institutions. An electronical based learning system based on the formalized instruction is known as e-learning. E-learning and learning to access the curricula outside traditional school using electronic technology constitutes a large part of e-learning and the internet. Uttar Pradesh is one of the India's most densely inhabited state and it is the nation's fourth largest state in terms of land area. However, when it concerns educational attainment, the number of higher education institutions in the state and the gross enrollment ratio, Uttar Pradesh large than other states. Higher demographic, social, and economic factors are impeding the provisions development. Bravery, unemployment, discrimination against women, and unemployment are only a few factors of the factor contributing to Uttar Pradesh low level of education and the lack of high quality educational organizations. The industry is further hampered by the scarcity of skilled faculty and the lack of research concentration. In our community, there is great deal of discrimination between the rural and urban population as well as between the gender and religions. The goal on determining how to execute the corporate responsibility idea in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which would aid to eliminate the corruption, poverty, gender, inequity in society. Various problem is implementing in RME at various higher education organizations in Uttar Pradesh are also covered in this paper. The impact of ICT on higher education. There are currently roles available and on the internet to assist the instructions and administrator in the managing writing projects to measure and reduce the plagiarism and trademark infringement. Amongst the most significant benefit of the technology in education is that they have potential to improve the quality and the quantity of educational offerings offered to solve the problem they must use correctly. As a result, increase use of ICT in all divisions of higher education systems, learning and teaching have altered, resulting in the quality of improvement. It creates new learning environment in organization and increase the educational quality so that high quality item may be developed. The incorporation of ICT into the institution has had a significant impact on how education is delivered. How working with the distance learning and achieving tighter collaboration between different educational institutions is not only conceivable, but it is also preparing the way a new pedagogical methods with the unrivaled potential to transfer the knowledge and communicate information. The rapid pace of technological progress has had a huge impact on how people live, work, and play around the world wide. If we talk about the role of ICT in higher education, at the both micro and macro level, the involvement of ICT in university education is being explored to improve quantity, expand access, and increase the productivity across all activities in the service industry, as well as to build innovative characteristics in higher education. The information communication technology program includes a student with the broad grasp of technology nature and how to utilize.
Excuse me, madam.
Yeah.
I think
Yes, sir.
I think the slide is not moving. I think.
Sir, I am explaining the point, the role of ICT in higher education.
The first slide itself. Huh? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Introduction.
The usage of online teaching methods increasing throughout the educational and managerial institution, the institution of Wi-Fi infrastructure, and also resulting in the introduction of high-tech education in which the student have access the topic, knowledge, and I held accountable for it. Learning can now study and absorb important aspect of their own places. And the type of higher education providers are in India, there are the 6 different types of management education institutions are there. Indian Institute of Management, University Department of Management Studies, colleges, government or private affiliation to the universities, All India Council for Technical Education, that is AICTC, is recognized private and government institutes, universities and college and institute that are not associated with any university are not recognized by All India Council of Technical Education. And 6th one is private college or institute in India provides MBA courses in conjunction with the educational international universities where the foreign universities.
Madam, slides are not moving, madam.
I'm
Introduction
explaining the
slide is there.
type of educational provider and the challenges. Ma'am, I am in the first slide only.
Okay, okay. Introduction slide is there.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Explaining
okay,
the
ma'am.
points, ma'am. Challenging of ICT
Okay,
in higher education.
okay, okay. Okay, ma'am. Carry on.
While there are some clear advantages of employing ICT in classroom, there are also present obstacles. The first is the high cost of ICT acquisition, installation, maintenance, replacement. Implementation of ICT into the education is still very much in infancy, despite its potential value. Introducing information communication technology for teaching has particularly high opportunity cost in developing country because installation them is more significant in percentage term than the rich countries, whereas the investment opportunity are far less expensive. India lack with the necessity in infrastructure to utilize the ICT. Again, the most information communication technology infrastructure in India is dependent on the numerous service provider, including the internet, telephone, emails. This service is provided is an ephemeral fashion, resulting in unacceptably high bills. To achieve the goal of successful curriculum implementation in the educational institution, the building of information technology will not be sufficient. On the other hand, the creation of e-content as well as transmission, assessment and measurement require the high-scale exchange idea among the constructions and consumptions. And poverty of the mind, law stakeholder is a major issue in holistic academic. According to UNESCO National Statistic Report by the Institute, India has one of the largest concentration of the institution using ICT. Review of literature. This review of literature built on the previous work on this area, such as Matra Pinto in 2012, study the digital technology used in institution of higher learning and now focuses on the analysis of empirical and other studies conducted to identify digital technologies used by higher education students to support their learning. Based on the research on the database Scopus, UGC CARE and ABC, this review was completed. At the start of the following phase.
Madam, please
final,
once cross check the slides, madam. It is not moving.
It is on third slide, ma'am. Review of literature.
No,
The
madam.
slides
It
are
is
not
in
visible, madam. Yeah, now it's okay. We are
It
able
is
to see
visible,
only
sir,
introduction slide.
but it is an introduction. Yeah,
No,
now
ma'am,
it is
review of
review of
literature.
literature.
Yes,
Now it
review
is in
literature.
madam.
Yes, okay. ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now may I start?
Please carry on.
The
Yes,
based
yes,
on
ma'am.
the
Yes.
download, at the start of the following phases, the final group of paper and identified a form of the chorus of analysis. Finally, data was taken from the article and grouped of the group based on the type of digital technology used and the student degree level and the year of publishing and the learning methods and approaches uses. Digital technology could you also include, but it limited to the computers, tablet, smart applications, social media, Google apps, library, information service provider, Google, YouTube, writing are the AC of the. These are not so as a ICT. Digital technologies also allow the potential customer to connect to the internet from everywhere, not at the home. This is just the foundation of the review analysis, and which is further supported by Bastia, Morrises, and Ramos in 2016, suggested that classification of the wave environment communication technology, which incorporate the additional taxonomies for the social software and social networking. That is said by the in 2010 and 2009 Connell and Simons. The literature review was undertaken to discover the publications that try to measure ICT in higher education. According to Ajmer, and ICT reduces the cost per student and increase the enrollment as well as making accommodation for employee and supports long-term learner. The study role of ICT technology in education institutes, learner perspective in the rural medical schools was function as a technology in the school take suitable steps to prepare stakeholders for its proper and optimal deployment. Uttam K. Pegu research ICT in the higher education in India put problems and potential in 2014. According to the report, ICT enable education would eventually lead to education democratization, and it is can modify the higher education in the country. Anju Manisha in 2014 research the use of ICT in higher education in India. According to the findings, ICT play a critical role in powerful agent for change in the variety of educational practices. ICT have a wide range of educational applications ranging from simple information distributions example accessing a digital library online catalog to the modern uses of cognitive tool like web 2 technology and adaptive technology to support the enhanced teaching and learning. It's schema in 2001 she said. On one hand of the spectrum, e-learning includes the educational software such as Word, Excel, Access, and PowerPoint, which has a little or no effect on the learner. Learning and management procedure. Learning environment with the web-based technology and virtual lecture hall. On the other hand, far-reaching implications for teaching, learning, and educational management. What ICT and a higher education. Here I have founded the digital competence and digital teaching with a reference, three references I have found, and digital skills and digital teacher training. We found two, digital competence and higher education, four papers we have reference found, and the digital skills and higher education found two. We calculated the 11 papers as 100%, and the uh, conception conceptions of the information communication technology as a label wise digital competency and digital training. I found one of the educational difficulties that the school system must address is advancements of the digital teaching competence. In ease of lifelong learning, instructor will have a substantial weakness in the various ability that contribute to its development, implying that we must continue to promote initial and ongoing trainings or education. Since a result, it is a widespread worried of at all educational levels. Digital skills and teacher training, the importance of digital skills and competency has shifted from optional to mandatory. In today's technological advanced society, the capacity to use digital technology is becoming increasingly important to as individual well-being. On the part of numeracy and literacy, people who lack with a skill and control technology risk been manipulated by it and being cut off from the local, national, and global communities. While better monitoring the digital skill would add to holding government responsible for progress and revealing the possibility for education and training. The severity of the present gender gap is a skill from the existing statistic. Level 3 is digital competence and higher education. ICTs are required not just for higher education renewable, but also development of critical competency. One of the first researchers to describe the digital literacy was Glister in 1997. He defined as a student ability to access, assess, and handle information in multimodal manner. Whether the literacy digital competence terminology is employed, the understanding of this concept varies according to the researcher and context. For instance, Ferrari 2012 defines digital literacy as the ability to access and manage knowledge. They may gather information from variety to sources and access they are uh, trustworthy or manage knowledge. To be a part of ICT society, all citizens must have a DC, that is a digital competency, as STEP in 2015 said, and the Roman and Sirenan 2018 point out. As a result, organizations such as the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, in 2018 encouraged the government to work towards a developing competent citizen, which is in 21st century society. Level 4, digital skills and higher education. As a part of digitization and implementation of information into higher education is the emerging streaming society. All stakeholders in higher education, including teachers and administration, as well as students, will expected to upgrade university host lectures, courses and conferences to teach the wide range of digital skills need to keep up with the current changes. The usage of digital badges and short training courses as a part of continuous education can be beneficial and result new digital education and where innovative higher education marketing strategies and the new certification standards are emerging. Some skill required to new things such as e-learning experiences and stay community outreaches. Some of the paper we found as a paradigm shifted from the online paradigm shifted teaching to learning, like are now the teacher centers to learner centers have been changes. The approaches of higher education, like this paper is based on the secondary data and the information gathered on the research of the educational paradigm. Constructivism and a learner teaching in higher education in India. Research is descriptive as stated in research objective. Paradigm shift in teaching and learning, like reproductive teaching versus productive teaching, learning. A teenager competent to memorize and repeat the professor's information is evaluated with a traditional educational system rather than just skill obtained via accumulation of technology. Transfer to them, knowledge has been interpreted in today's world via rather than simply receiving information. Learning is characterized as a learner creation of the interpretation. Teacher centered to learner centered. The teacher interest and teacher characteristics are highly valued in teaching style, not only in the instructor, a source of knowledge, but it is also an impact of learning environment and assignments. The learner method is the most appropriate method of imparting subject knowledge to students. The new paradigms focuses on learning from the recognized board or university or optimizing understanding through the teacher-student interaction. Teaching versus learning facilities. Uh, Teachers must assist rather than simply transmit the factual knowledge. It disregards the use of digital technology gives learner with the limitless access to the range of factual processes is important. The instructions role is to teach and lead the student through the data collections, processing and research instruments. Content-based versus outcome-based. Subject content is emphasized heavily on the conventional instruction, information system, the plan qualification and corresponding education, as well as the level of involvement evaluation and grading are taken into the consideration. The focus is on the effective approach on learning outcome that learner must achieve. The value of learning objective determines which specific recommendations are made. Content-based evaluation versus outcome-based assessment. The amount and the quality of understanding, duplicate, and the content-based evaluation are used to assess learner achievement. Outcome-based assessment will be based on productive learning viewpoint, in which the learner achievement is judged
Excuse me,
by.
madam.
Ji.
Excuse
Yes,
me,
sir.
madam.
Hmm.
Hello, excuse me, madam.
Yes, sir.
I think it is more than 20 minutes is over.
Yes, sir.
Your presentation, it maybe within the 10 minutes you can conclude, and also question and answer session also will be there.
Okay, sir. May I come to discussion?
Okay. No, it is
Education.
completed. Is it completed?
We have
For each participant
30
only
minutes.
30 minutes. Hello, for each participant only 30 minutes is allowed, madam. So already 20 minutes are over. Better you complete within the remaining 10 minutes, so that we
Okay.
can have a query session for 5 minutes, and then we should switch over to the next paper.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay. The discussion, the following is a breakdown of the paper structure. The research approach is first described, followed by the discussion, how the paper is to be included in assessment, were chosen and analyzed. So there was discussion about the few people thinks about the online participation in ICT is a higher education. And following are a discussion of the research methodology that have been used on the server publications like UGC Scopus has been researched online participation. To strengthen the educational system, ICT must be used. Teachers must adjust the usage of technology. To ensure the optimal use of ICT knowledge and resources, inter-institutional collaboration is required to improve access to digital libraries, government website, networking, and other services. Government has boosted its investment in education information technology, but more work is needed to ensure that it has beneficial effect. ICT facilitate the spread of instructions to formally inaccessible geographical locations, as well as instructor empowerment. It will only be successful and universally adopted if the national policy initiative are oriented towards the adopting in school instructions. Rather than replacing classroom learning, technology role is to support and enhance it. Teacher must be trained in effort to progress and use technology. In addition to increase in investment, the retention, concentration, return on the investment, educational recognition, and efficiency improvement in academic productivity and effectiveness. ICT will play a critical role in communication sectors, performing and reliability of the students, teaching staff, investigations, and vocational training in institute for the higher learning. Uh, Limitations of my study is development and strategy education has been improved. It is widely assumed that the ICT has significant impact on the change of teaching methodology. The school reform the innovation and community service. Therefore, the legislator and software engineer should think about material properties that can be combined to monitor the right impact of technology in the education. Students are exposed to learn more, achieve other goals, and computer was introduced to unison with the national policies and activities related to improvement in curriculum methodology, assessment, and teacher training. Uh, a conclusion is in the last 5 decades, a higher education institution have risen in exponential rate to fulfill the need for high quality education for all. Due to rapid improvement in ICT, this component has received even more traction. This is ever increasing requirement for qualified and experienced worker in the today's global environment. So this paper also looked to some or the problems like ICT has in India educational system. This article also discussed the government efforts to integrate the ICT into higher education, and we also managed to come up with some suggestion to addressing the various issues. The goal of this post was to look anew how technology can be used in the classroom as we progress into the 21st century. The paper claims that while ICT have had a limited impact on educational practices, thus far this impact will grow dramatically in the next years, and that ICT will become a potent agent for change in many teaching programs. The study's purpose is to investigate the impact of ICT on higher education as well as to identify impediment of the technology adoption in rural India higher education tech institutes. A study also conduct to assess, comprehend obstacles that restrict the adoption of ICT in the rural institution of higher learning. Secondary data from the 4 institute of the higher education in Uttar Pradesh and one of the provisions designed e-district was used for this article. Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam. Any questions from the participants? Any questions from the audience and also judges? Any questions, sir?
So I have one question to ask, madam.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please carry.
So you have elaborated, you have given very good presentation, a very elaborated presentation. So thanks for that. But so in India, so do you think that what you call the institutions, all institutions are able to bear this ICT expenditure and all actually, though they are higher education institutions, but some of the institutions, they do not have proper standards. So how do you face this challenge actually?
Actually, sir, this is a major challenges I have faced. Like infrastructure play a major role, because for the installation fees, I have discussed so many times that the installation fees and the bearing cost is very high, and sometimes in the rural case, this can't be implemented at all because of this electricity problem. Even today, they are facing this hardware system like installation, how to install the ICT rooms, like to face the major challenges we are facing like that.
Okay, sir. Over to you, sir. Venugopal Rao, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you. Any questions from Sivanagi Garu and Jagamohan Garu?
Thank you very much. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're audible.
This is, hello.
Please carry.
Somehow I could not turn on my video. So this is Dr. M.M. Obaidul Islam from Bangladesh, the AIUB, American International University of Bangladesh. Thank you, madam, for your very nice presentations.
Thank you,
But
sir.
just thank you. Just I'm curious about ICT, the implications of ICT on higher educations. How can we actually, this ICT can be integrated something like in any specific pandemic like COVID-19? So is there any study or anything you have things about?
In the COVID, we have realized that the pandemic make us to dependent on this ICT tools, because all the education, like from the lower classes to higher, we are talking about the higher education, but from the lower classes also we are come to the virtual platform, not on the classroom or four wheelers we call. So the fact is that somehow we are supporting the blended learning. We are not able to conduct the classroom study. So virtual is mandatory today. In the today's scenario, it will plays a mandatory role in the to learn the ICT tool to execute your classes.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation and also for your participation. We will proceed for the next paper. The authors are P. Komala and Dr. A.V.N. Murthy, and the paper title, The Institutional Support for Faculty Teaching in an Online Learning Environment. Srimati P. Komala. P. Komala and A.V.N. Murthy. Yes, madam. Please continue. Madam, we have scheduled for half an hour for your presentation, 20 minutes for the presentation and 10 minutes for the question session. Okay, ma'am?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning, all the
Please
dignitaries.
carry.
Okay. Good morning, all the dignitaries. My name is Komala, research scholar.
Good morning, madam. Continue. Please continue.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. My name is P. Komala, research scholar under the guidelines of Dr. A.V.N. Murthy, sir, KL University, Vijayawada, and submitted to IAQHEI 2022, the fourth conference, which is conducted by Innovative Mechanisms and Standards for Assuring in HEI's. And let us coming to the my topic. Today I am going to tell about the topic called A Study on Higher Education Institutions Relieves how they support faculty with the design and development of web-based classes. First and foremost thing is, what is meant by web-based learning or web-based education? Web-based education emphasizes all aspects and process of education that use a World Wide Web as a communication medium and supporting technology. There are many other terms for web-based education. Some of them are online education, virtual education, internet-based education, and education via computer mediated computers. So first of all, one of the first web-based systems was developed at University College of Dublin in 1995. All educational systems like scholars, colleges, and universities in India are currently based only on traditional methods. Traditional methods of learning. That means they follow the traditional setup for face-to-face lectures in classrooms. The sudden outbreak of the deadly disease or called COVID-19 caused by a coronavirus. It struck the entire world. The World Health Organization declares it is a pandemic. In that situation, the situation challenged the educational system across the world and focused educators to shift to the online mode for teaching overnight. And the web-based training is a form of computer-based learning that relies on a internet connection to share, connect, and support communication. It is its origins. This type of practices relates to distance learning, as it mostly does not require face-to-face interaction between the learners or trainee and the instructor. They are identifying several support mechanisms, online faculty design, such as assistance with converting courses materials for online use and facilitating online discussion forums, as well as additional less formal and self-planned learning materials. A few of many other factors that can be affected the design, development, and success of a web-based course include online learner needs, the nurturing of community, highly interactive environment, and classroom climate. Let us coming to the first one, demographic. So demographic, it contains general demographic information about the institutions surveyed, such as the size of the institution, type of institutions, and some basic information about the availability of web-based classes and programs. And let us come into the second one, institutional attitudes and perspectives. It examines the attitudes and perspectives as they related to the role web-based learning plays within the institutions. For example, an increasing number of institutions specifically includes institutional responsibilities and strategic plans. The section also includes institutional responses on the requirement the faculty leaves teaching to teaching online methods, and institutional guidance. Look at these type of information institutions make available to faculty in the forms of policies or expectations, which plays an important role in improving human performances policies. For example, providing key information that could influence how faculty process with the design and development of web-based classes or web-based instructional materials, which some institutions required specific steps of design process, and other maybe simply make materials available to assist faculty. And the fourth one is institutional tools. It refers to the resources made available to further assistance faculty with the actual design and development of web-based learning materials. And the fifth one is institutional incentives. Looks at designs on institutional might make to entire faculty to teach web-based courses. The literature has demonstrated courses such as time-consuming nature associated with moving to online medium. It moves more faculty into web-based courses in an institutional priority. Institutional may consist using different type of incentives to further increases the descriptivity of teaching web-based classes. And let us coming to the advantages of web-based classes. The main advantages of web-based classes is web-based learning is accessible, flexible, and make use of universal technology. Learners can access information from wherever they are. The main advantages of the web-based classes is learner can access information or classes or whenever they are. And let us coming to the second one. There are no physical barriers to separate instructors and learners. And it is a very efficient way to deliver courses of online. And everyone who are part-time students or are working full-time can take advantages of web-based learning. Web-based learning promotes activities and independent learning. Not only can you train yourself on a day-to-day basis, but also on weekends or whenever you have the free time required. There are free time required. You do that online classes or web-based classes. There is no hard and fast rules. And having every product or everything like coin has two shades, heads and tails. Like that, every product or everything is having two shades. So a lot of advantages is there in web-based learning. Still, there are some disadvantages in web-based learning. The disadvantages of e-learning. The first one is access to appropriate computer equipment can be a problem for students. For example, if the class having 100 member students, in that only a few students having laptops or smartphones. The remaining people is not able to online education. That means proper equipment is required for the online e-learnings. And the second one is learners find it frustrating if they cannot access graphic images and video clips because of poor equipments, poor internet connections or power supply. These are harmful. These are affected to the online learning. And the necessary infrastructure must be available and affordable. E-learning lacks face-to-face communication. That means the lack of attention to the face-to-face communication. And e-learning is limited to certain disciplines. Online learning is increasable to the computer illiterate population. Lack of accreditation and quality assurance in online education. So finally, my conclusion is the finding of our study addresses to some extent how institutions are adopting several of the best practices identified in the literature. Our study thus provides a framework to assist institutions with evaluating their current efforts to support faculty in developing and teaching online courses. So thank you for giving this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. Any questions from the participants and judges? Participants or audience or judges?
This is Dr. M.A. Mubaidul Islam. If you allow me, actually, I'd like to share my observations. Thank you, Kamala Madam, for your very interesting and nice topics and presentations.
Thank you, sir.
Just I would like to know about your opinion about the e-learning. 2 points actually. Number one is assessment, especially I'm working actually as an associate professor in the American International University Bangladesh, IAQHEI'2022. So due to COVID-19, we had to suddenly we had to move to online classes. So that is due to pandemic. Sudden movement we had to. This is not some kind of distance learning, but not the traditional distance learning. So how to address these things when some academic institutions, they are introducing or they're preparing, offering their courses as a distance learning or e-learning, they have some kind of different setup. But when some kind of the things like pandemics, we have to move on. So there is some kind of difference thing. So how to address this one? And one thing, do you have any observations about the assessment? I have found that in case of online virtual teaching and learning methods, assessment process becoming a little bit difficult, especially I guess it does not work much for lab-based courses. Just your opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. This is Dr. Murthy, guide of P. Komala Madam. So, Islam sir, very good morning to you. Can I explain to you on behalf of my scholar?
Yes, sir. Sir, please. Sir, please. Thank you. I'll be very. I'll be very thankful to you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I have observed from the outbreak of this COVID-19, many undue things have been done because of no choice. And in the process, we have seen that many obstacles and many hurdles have come on the way. But I believe that gradually the students have started adopting it. Because of the compulsions of the situation, parents are also scared about the lives of the students, and parents were very much panic, that how the students will complete the courses. Parents were in a very helpless state of condition, and I believe that gradually students have adopted it, and they have now got accustomed almost. So I believe that whether we talk about the lab-based learning, or you can say, because we are connected through a medium, the medium plays a very vital role. And though assessment may not be that accurate as far as the practical classes and other things are being concerned, but I hope suddenly it has started working out, because students also have taken it seriously. And as far as this distance learning mode is concerned, I think again the people who are otherwise overaged, or who want to upgrade their qualification, or those who are already in the jobs and the professions, have been opting for online learning and online distance learning classes, because there will be a gap, sir, no doubt about it. But I think the gap has to be again physically worked out and to be filled in by the concerned person who is undergoing the courses. So I believe, sir, you have raised a very pertinent question, and I hope, sir, I could meet your expectation in answering the question that you have put on behalf of the scholar, sir.
So thank you so much for your very informative and informative
Thank you, sir.
thoughts
Thank you, sir. We are humbled.
to share
We are
with us.
blessed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm humbled. I'm
Thank you,
blessed.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from the judges? Any questions from the judges? If there is no questions, we will proceed for the next participant.
Thank you, Prasanna madam. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Komala madam, and thank you, Murthy sir. We will proceed for the next participant. The others are Bhavani Tota and Raghavaraju Aradhyula. The paper title, Research on Private Enterprise Performance Evaluation System. So as of now, they are not there in the meeting. We will go for the next participant, Professor.
Madam, paper 7 presenting.
Yes, sir. Okay, please carry on, sir. Sir, please carry on, sir. And
Yes, madam. Yes.
we have scheduled only half an hour time for your paper, 20 minutes for your presentation, and 10 minutes for your question and answer session.
Okay, madam. 1 minute.
Okay.
Madam, my PPT visible?
Not visible.
1 minute, sir.
Sir, your PPT is not visible, sir.
Okay, madam. Okay. I am presenting through mobile phone, madam. 1 minute. Ma'am, can you guide me how to share my content from mobile phone?
Sir, did you get the share option?
Share content, madam.
Sir, if you have laptop, better to open your laptop, sir.
Okay, madam.
Or otherwise, tell me, can you please share it in the chat box? I will open that. Share your PPT in the chat box.
నెక్స్ట్ హాఫ్ అన్ అవర్ తర్వాత
Raghavaraj garu.
Madam.
You can do one thing, sir. You can send your PPT in the chat box. Okay, I will download it and also I will share. You can
Madam,
explain
mail చేయమంటారా మేడం? మెయిల్ చేయనా?
Yes, sir. Yes, mail cheyandi. We
ఒక్క నిమిషం.
will take it and also we will share it.
ఒక్క నిమిషం.
We will do it in the next session, sir. Okay. In the
మేడం,
meanwhile, I will share my
క్లాసెస్ ఉన్నాయి మేడం, రెడీగా ఉంది, నేను షేర్ చేసేస్తాను.
నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్ అయితే
ఓకే మేడం, పీపీటీ మెయిల్ చేశాను ఒకసారి.
I have shared my mail ID in the chat box, sir. Can you please send that PPT in that mail?
Oh, 1 minute.
In the meanwhile, shall we proceed for the next participant, sir? 15-20 minutes only.
మేడం పంపిస్తున్నాను. సెంట్ మేడం, ఒకసారి చూడండి.
No, sir, I'm not. Yes. Sir, start your presentation.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. Good morning, respected chair, co-chair, and head of the department of concerned department and organizing committee of this conference. Myself, Raghav Raju, presenting today my paper number 7. So my paper presentation entitles to research on performance evaluation by enterprising based upon the increasing the capability of independent and innovation. Next slide, madam. Please full screen, madam. Some strips are coming on the slide. Oh, please slide show me. Oh, okay.
Please continue, sir.
Okay, okay, madam. Thank you. Thank you. So performance evaluation system is very, very important criteria in our academical education systems. So these performance evaluation systems came from the lot of previous literature, which will be including the enterprising of independent and innovation ability. So we adopt this technology from the neighbor countries so far to introduce this performance-based evaluation system to incorporate various evaluation methods. For example, data involvement analysis and enterprising of the self-assessment technologies. So this include as my abstract to innovate ideas. Just I will share my knowledge-based approaches schemes in this in this presentation. Next slide, madam. So my work presenting today motivated.
It is in presentation mode. It is not moving the slides, so better to continue here. In the
Okay,
presentation mode, slides are not moving, so better to continue in this way.
Okay, madam. Strategic planning and performance measurements and performance contracts as well as pay for the performance. Next slide, madam. Madam, slide number 4.
It is slide number 4. Is it visible to you?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Hello.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Visible, visible. So the performance evaluation system based upon the role of the leadership. So as for the one of the my literature survey, it included commented as during the last past years, private sector as well as CEO advisors. So some other found that there is a very good measurement system required for to maintain in the good performance on this measuring as well as assessment system. Slide 5, madam. Next slide, madam. So I found some measuring remedies for the performance evaluation system. So we adopt some tools. I studied some tools regarding creation of the unprecedented pressure on public sectors as well as performing the context where performance is defined by qualitative indicator. It will require some pedagogical study measurements. Number 1 is promote. Number 2 is celebrate. Number 3 is learn. Number 4 is improvement. So these 4 pedagogical studies are very important to learn about research innovation algorithms to do the qualitative measurements. Next slide, madam. some of the pedagogy techniques I referred during my performance management system is number one is rise of the doctrine. Doctrine means a qualitative analytical study made by the researchers to know the information innovative mechanisms which will suit for the current trend, that is called doctrine. So this is the rise of the doctrine. Number two is not new but more influent than before. So today, for example, due to pandemic, we learned lot of things from the online system. So these pedagogical techniques, how we can reach these techniques for low and quality people. For example, in our classroom, we have slow learners and fast learners. So for slow learners, what type of the techniques we have to adopt to improve their qualitative study. Number three is must justify actions in terms of the outputs and outcomes. As an assessment doing for each and every course, we have to do what are the required inputs and outputs we have to do to improve our assessment. For example, to maintain several pedagogical techniques. After that, at the end of the course, shall we reach the required targets, or how we have to plan to meet that targets, so such that we have to maintain some action plan. So basis of this folding and new structural forms are important to maintain this performance evaluation system. Next slide, madam. Madam, slide number 7, madam. So this is somewhat of the comparatorial analysis I brought from the literature. So this is the doctrine logic for the changing of this innovative mechanism, which will helpful to reach the study to the very low end people. So number one is high managerial authority. Number two is low managerial authority. So I classified these two levels, which is low focus on results and high focus on the results. For example, I will explain one box. Number one indicates the numerical systems, which will indicate the focus on the goals other than the performance or priority based techniques. Another one is when I compared this result with the low managerial authority system. So here we implemented one system called bureaucratic system, which will include high focus on the inputs and a little incentive or authority to increase the technical efficiency. So where I compared these results with high focus, high advanced learners, I found the performance management, which is called ideal type. So the my key observation in a high managerial authority in high focus on result indicate, so managers have clear goals and authority to achieve the goals. This should lead to program effectiveness, higher technical efficiency, result-based accountability. So at this level, I found good results for the good results. For example, efficiency of the courses and better good quality of learning, etc. Whereas in a low managerial authority, I also found sir, that demand for the results, but managers lack of authorities to engineer change, limiting performance. So this is the comparative doctoral studies I made to improve my innovative mechanism to for management systems. Next slide, madam. Eighth slide. Next slide, madam, please. So this is the basic agenda I adopted from the past literature. So that is called Bush approach. What is meant by Bush approach? Equal to before implementing the innovative ideas to a particular system. For example, a system means our classroom. So to adopt some new techniques or to new pedagogical informations or any new learning mechanism tools. So everyone agrees that secure federal resources should be allocated to programs that deliver the results. So ultimate we have to our invention, our innovation is able to good result outcome based information. So to meet that good outcome based information, here were the researcher, scientist Bush invented a new pedagogy techniques to innovate the people which can helpful for delivering the results. And another observation I made here, wanted to integrate the performance data into the budget process. Suppose we have to involve or we have to launch any new pedagogical information or to innovate idea, something we may require hardware, something may require another implementation in hardware tools, such that we have to allocate the budget in our respective information based learning pedagogy. Next slide, madam. Ninth slide. So after this one, I made this
Mr.
justifications that
Raghavaraju, so there are 31 slides so given you are telling it's not like a teaching, so it is a presentation.
Okay.
You should restrict to only 15 minutes. So which is
Yes, sir.
important, that only you have to give. This is not a
complete,
please
yes.
follow them.
Okay, sir. So this is about congruent justifications. In this slide requires some information based algorithm. Next slide, madam. Next slide, madam.
Sir, already changed.
Okay, madam. Okay. So this is the comparator assessment tool that is called program assessment rating tool. This is the I suggested in my topic research innovative or learning outcome based information. So program assessment rating tool indicates these 5 factors, which will indicate a lot for the pedagogy studies. Next slide, madam. Next slide, madam. Next slide, madam, please.
But I don't know why it is not moving.
Madam.
10 minutes. Hello? Hello?
Madam.
Hello?
Hello.
You can explain your method. You can explain your methodology, sir.
Okay, madam. Okay, madam.
You can
Present in
explain
this
your
slide is
methodology.
very important. This is the okay, madam. In this presentation, my methodology involves these are the 4 individual types of the information. Number 1 is passive, persuasive, political, and purposeful. So each individual data requires some passive information, and each individual data requires some output to identification. So this is the preservant of the data used for my innovative idea. So number 1 is output distortion. Number 2 is the wretched effects. Number 3 is crushing, and number 4 is the information. So another one is prospective data used for the data implementation. So it is very important for the measurement, the cherry picking and measurement of the selection and hiding the numbers. So the information required for pedagogical studies. Madam, 15th slide, madam. 15th slide, madam. Yes, madam. These are the new information I brought here. So number 1 is additional of the measurements. Number 2 is the changing of the existing measurements. Number 3 is the limiting the behavior. Number 4 is the avoiding the high-powered inventions. Similarly, same observations same observation I got on some another fields like political and like rural empowerment people. One of the information I got here, number one, ego ambiguity of the data is very important on the performance evaluation. Number one is the examining the programs related information. Number two is the agreementing of the information. Number four is the meaning of the next step involved for the measuring the data. Next slide, madam. Next slide, madam.
Continue by seeing your mobile phone, the PPT. Sir Raghav, please can continue by seeing your PPT in your cell phone.
Okay, sir. Finally, in concluding that, so the research innovation mechanism help for people to maintain the proper ideas on various pedagogical techniques I mentioned in the last 20 to 25 slides, sir. So this information reaches enrich the people such that various informations are brought on the required content database information systems, sir. So thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Raghav Raju. I think question and answers from participants and the judges.
Any questions, sir, from the participants and judges? Any questions, sir, from the participants and judges? If there is no questions, we will proceed for the next participant. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for
Raghav
your,
as well.
thank you, madam.
And
Thank you, host, sir. Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
okay, sir. Thank you, sir. You can leave. And we will move to the next participant, Professor R. Anita and Dr. Tumma Fatima Reddy. Fatima Reddy, and the paper title is Examination Reforms, a Learning Outcome-Based Framework.
Ma'am, can you see my screen, ma'am?
Yes, madam. Yes, it is visible.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, the organizers and the chairpersons of the session. Good morning to all of you and to my dear participants. I'll just put slideshow. The topic of mine that we have selected for research is examination reforms, a learning outcome-based framework. So I'm Professor R. Anita, Control of Examinations of St. Joseph Degree and PG College, Hyderabad. As we know, the education system in India, this is what even NEP is also focusing on, how to become it more robust so that the outcomes are achieved, where the students will come out with required knowledge and skills, that is the required competences. This is the effort that the country is also putting the efforts, and as well as the education system, where we need to see that how we can transform from the conventional teacher-centric method to student-centric method. So it means that we have to try to focus on how we were testing earlier on the memorizing skills. Now we have to start focusing on how to test the higher order thinking skills. So as we know that teaching learning is a heart of the system, and without evaluation, the teaching learning, whether it is effective or not, we will not be able to judge. So evaluation plays a major role in order to test the learning outcomes of the particular individual, as well as the total program as such. The program outcomes are also being evaluated. So introducing examination reform will not only be effective, only until and unless we see that how we improve our teaching learning process, as well as how we are going to design the right curriculum so that we give as per the industry needs. So as we all know that in order to go about achieving the learning outcomes of the individuals, Bloom taxonomy level, this is what all the education institutions are using it in order to see that how the students can achieve the learning outcomes, the course outcomes are achieved, the program outcomes are achieved, and the program education objectives are achieved. This is what all the education institutions right now are seriously focusing on. And we know that there are 6 levels in the Bloom taxonomy level, where from remembering, if you see, from the lower order thinking skills to we are moving to the higher order thinking skills. So we need to see that how the students will be able to get the higher order thinking skills rather than focusing on the lower order thinking skills. So just to give a recap of each level, what exactly it focuses on. Remembering is where we try to recall the things like definitions, the listing of the things, where we try to ask them to specify the steps, where it is just memorizing the things and then writing the things. Whereas understanding is where you try to go about whatever you have studied, you summarize the things in the nutshell with your own words. That is what is called an understanding stage. Applying is how you are able to use the concept that you have studied earlier into the practice. And then analyzing is how you try to differentiate or compare or analyze the things, what is given to you, and then you come out with your own interpretations. And then evaluating is how well you judge when 3-4 alternatives are there with you, which one do you choose? How you are going to evaluate it is called as an evaluating skills, and creating is the way you come out or design in a very creative or innovative way when something is asked, the concept that you have studied, with the using of the concept, how you are going to design that particular thing. Especially in engineering field, we can see how it has been implemented in designing the components or something. Right, so these are the levels at which we need to test. So assessment, according to Videx, he said that assessment is complete when all the main topics of the subjects are covered in the question paper. And the depth of the knowledge can be assessed only by preparing the questions as per the Bloom taxonomy level. Now there are 3 different types of assessments. Like feedback to the learners as well as teachers, which are projected to guide the learning. Then second one is the formative assessment, and third one is the summative assessment. Now all these assessments are necessary for a learner so that he can enter into the professional field if these things are tested. Now based upon this introduction, I have taken the objectives of the paper as to study the Bloom taxonomy levels of evaluation, to study the learning outcome based model of evaluation, to present various assessment methods based on the skills required, and to analyze the acquisition of critical thinking skills by students in the select colleges and twin cities. Now, the research methodology, I have taken the primary study for testing the critical thinking skills, whether they have been imparted to the students or not. There is 113 students, both UG and PG put together. Sampling technique, convenience sampling I have used, and then 5 select colleges or twin cities I have used in Hyderabad. And primary data and secondary data, primary using the questionnaire method where 13 questions I have taken, and secondary data I have taken from e-sources. And then data analysis, simple percentage analysis, that is the graphs I have used in order to present the thing. Now, in order to tell you that the evaluation, how it can be done at various levels, now when we try to ask the questions in the question paper, like who, where, which, what, how, now these are the questions when we formulate, they tell us whether the student is able to answer them and able to remember those things. When we go to the understanding level, we ask them to give an example, to summarize, to what are your expectations from this, read a paragraph and then come out with your own words, summarize your things. So show a graph or a table, which statements do you support? So we are trying to make a person understand or comprehend what is given. So such type of questions in the question paper will make the student understand where which state he is. Like applying, whether you can choose the best statements, judge the effects, tell what would happen if these things are taken into account. Such type of questions can be used in order to test the student whether he is able to apply the concept or not. Now, analyze questions can be like, give your opinion, what assumptions do you make, what is that your conclusions you can draw, what does the author believe in that, what the author assumes. These type of questions can be asked in the question paper to see that whether a particular student is able to analyze the things or not. And then evaluate it, where we are asking the student like questions which is more important, which is having more morals, what is better, what is logical, what is valid, such type of questions where where in debates, making a student to practice through debates or decision making, where you be able to answer such type of questions. Now coming to the create level, we are asking them to propose an alternative, to come out with their own plan, to come out with their own design. So such type of creative questions can be asked, and this can be developed by having a proper instruction strategies like discussions, collaborative learning, decision-making situations or debates. So this is how questions can be formulated, where the outcomes can be tested and outcomes can be evaluated whether they can be achieved. Now, I've just gone through the review of literature where I wanted to understand what is that the research has been done related to OB. Now, the literature, when I reviewed, if you see one of the paper in 2021, reflected that OBE is an education approach for making plans and enforcing an assessment of the curriculum. So this should be used to assess so that the learning objectives can be achieved. Similarly, there's another paper where it tells that the model, they have come out with a model telling that learning outcomes should be well chosen and a proper technology and proper assessment should be used in order to test the individuals, so that the higher order levels are achieved or not can be tested using this particular model. And then there's another research study where it has said an effective method of curriculum design of quality teaching and learning should be there so that the right outcomes can be achieved. And we have another paper where it reflected on demands training to how to facilitate outcome conscious learning and ensure the attainment of intended learning outcomes. This OB can be useful. Now, these different papers or research studies were focusing on how OBE can be achieved, but none of the studies I could see that whether how the critical thinking skills can be activated in the classroom so that they can be able to answer in the question paper. Those type of studies are not found. So in order to fill the gap of these things, first thing I've tried to come out with the learning outcome based framework, where this is a general framework where most of the research studies show that where institution vision and mission, and from there we try to have the education objectives, where we try to have program learning outcomes. And then these program learning outcomes can be tested when we test the competencies and the performance indicators. And the course level outcomes can be achieved when you have a proper curriculum and proper teaching learning process and proper assessment. So until and unless we evaluate it, we will not know whether the outcomes are achieved or not, whether the vision and mission is achieved or not. The same learning-based outcomes can be formulated using the modified model called as DEMIC, which is used in the Six Sigma program. The same thing can be applied for assessment of the students. Like, you can define the same set of things which are defined earlier can be put under. You define properly your outcomes that you want, whether it is vision, your education objectives, your program outcomes, your competencies, performance indicators, your course outcomes. All these need to be clearly defined. And then we need to have a proper assessment methods, where I'll be discussing in the further slides what type of methods can be used in order to achieve the higher order levels. And you need to have proper targets that are being set, and then we need to analyze whether those targets have been achieved or not. And accordingly, when we try to analyze the things, we will know which are the areas we are lacking, every student and the particular course, and then how to improve and control. We will be able to understand using this particular model. When we implement, we will be able to understand it. And there's another study which was being done in 2019, where they have used this particular DEMIC model in order to, in the engineering education, in order to test whether they have been achieved the outcomes or not. So the assessment methods which we can think of is, if we want to see that a student can achieve a higher order learning skills, we can have various numbers of assessment methods, but a proper rubrics have to be designed when we try to go for this higher order thinking skills exercises or learning activities. Like, article writing, essay writing, quizzes, dissertation, review, portal review, case studies, viva, rapid fire questions, think, pair, share, field assignments, poster presentations, lab work, virtual labs, paper press. These are all different types of assessment methods which we can think of and implement it properly by having proper rubrics. When these things are implemented effectively, then we will be able to achieve these higher order learning skills, where the program objectives can be achieved and where the learning outcomes and the skills required, the students can come out with the required skills which is necessary for the country. And low order thinking skills, just like tests, exams, open book systems, they are mere lower order thinking skills. Now we need to move from this lower order learning skills to the higher order learning skills. If we want our youth to get employed very effectively or have employability skills, we need to move to this particular level. So education institution can think of these type of higher order assessment methods. Now, I've done a primary study to find out whether the students are able to develop critical thinking skills during the teaching learning process. Now, the question when I asked them whether questioning and feedback improve the students' engagement and attainment in lesson, the students have really 60% of them have strongly agreed that yes, questioning should be there by students because it engages them so that they will be alert during their teaching learning process. And then students, the next question that was being asked, whether students were given opportunity to develop their own questions in lesson. Now, only 53.3% strongly agreed. Rest of them, 40% have agreed that they were given opportunity to develop their own questions in lesson and ask them. When the teaching learning process is given, they were given an opportunity to develop the questions and ask. And then I know how to ask and investigate my questions. A student was being asked, and only 80% of them agree that they are able to develop. It means the other 20% do not know how to ask relevant questions in the class. And then I'm effective in questioning in lessons. So they felt nearly 86% of them have felt they were effective in questioning in the lessons. And then when asked whether faculty is planning well beforehand to ask the relevant questions, yes, they have felt that nearly 90% of them felt that yes, faculty do plan for the classes and also ask relevant questions to the students. And are students encouraged to express their own unique thoughts and beliefs? Yes, 80% of them felt that yes, they are given that opportunity. I asked relevant questions in lessons. Yes, they felt they strongly agree, but we can see that 20% of them are neutral about it. But they are given some. Most of them have agreed that they are being asked to give the asked relevant questions in the lessons. And then I'm aware of Bloom taxonomy level. Yes, awareness, we find that still awareness has to be created regarding Bloom's taxonomy level. Students do not know what is this Bloom taxonomy. In fact, to tell that even faculty also are not clear about the Bloom taxonomy level, how to use it for teaching purpose and how to use it for evaluation purpose. And faculty use Bloom taxonomy in develop question. Yes, 80% of them have agreed. Yes, they use them for designing the questions in the question paper. And do faculty encourage group answers? Yes, we can see there's a 30 to 30 and 20. Only 50% of the students are agreeing that faculty agree for group answers. Rest of them may be individual questioning they are preferring. And the faculty ask right type of questions. Yes, we can find 90% of them agree that yes, faculty ask right type of questions so that students will be able to learn effectively. And faculty use right strategies to ensure students respond. Yes, they have agreed to that. 26.7% is still neutral about it. So faculty need to use the right strategies to see that the students ask right questions. And then finally, the last question which I've asked a question where what sort of questions do students ask during the lessons? I know 80% of the students agreed that they ask clarifying questions. What I have been taught, they just clarify what it is. Very few students come out with some insightful questions. That is what, if we want students to develop critical thinking, then we need to give more scope where they are given opportunity where they come out with some insightful questions. It means we need to change the teaching learning methodology, like case studies, simulation exercises, lab sessions, practical sessions need to be conducted where it will make them to ask them insightful questions. So that's what my recommendations for this particular examination reform, which I for a learning outcome-based model is. We need to have a proper question paper setting as well as learning outcome-based education so that a good examination system is developed. And 40-40 is to 20, that is 40 is to 40 is to 20. That is the first two levels, 40%, next two levels, 40%, another last two levels, 20% of questions should come out from that level of Bloom's taxonomy. So that more higher order thinking skills, gradually we can move on, because since we are in initial stage, we are going for remembering and for understanding level 40%, and rest of them we are going for the other stages. On-demand examinations with proper moderation should be introduced. Moderated question banks should be based on the learning outcomes. Minimum standardized infrastructure should be used so that the proper education system will be there and effective education system can be there. I would like to conclude that right teaching learning practices need to be implemented to achieve the outcomes that are intended. Students need to be given the freedom to ask questions so that higher order thinking skills can be developed. And faculty need to be created awareness on how to achieve the learning outcomes using various teaching learning strategies. And then thank you for giving me an opportunity for presenting. Okay.
Thank you, madam. I think I have given an excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
So can I ask you one question, madam?
Sir.
So I think which subject you are handling? I think presently you are a professor.
Yes, I'm handling the HR subject, sir.
HR,
HR, Human Resources and Operations.
Okay. So have you done any experiment on this examination reforms?
Yes, we have done, sir. Actually, in MBA, we have brought about this OBE. Since 2 years, we are using it. That still faculty need to be aware, but we have incorporated the outcome-based Bloom's taxonomy level, and we are giving question paper also 40, 40, 20%. In that way, we are trying to give the questions, and we have, for when we implemented this OBE, then the case study methodology was made mandatory for MBA students, sir. And then we have brought the cases from IAM also. And then we have incorporated in the question paper one section. Earlier, we never used to have. So that students start thinking instead of just by hearting and writing. Students start thinking and then develop that particular decision making skills. We did this experiment, sir.
Okay. So in the class, how many students are there? In your class?
We have in actually 180 is the strength. In MBA, we have 60 is the strength of the class, sir.
Okay. So any questions from other judges or audience?
It's indeed a very nice presentation, madam. Very happy to. I have just one question. So I'm working as a professor in some private engineering college. I usually get some paper setting models. So they are clearly mentioning that BTL level should not be greater than 3 while setting the paper. So how this can be justified actually in the evaluation process?
It means that they don't want to go to the higher order level.
No, they are testing us while setting the paper itself. So most of the questions, so 70% may be given to the BTL 1 and 2, and maybe 20% around the BTL 3, hardly 1 or 2 BTL 4. They are not allowing us to set the BTL 4 and 5 levels.
That is wrong, sir. Because if you don't set up the case studies, they can go for the simple case study where they can do that. I don't know why they are restricting, but that is not right. Because if the education institutions have to go for NBA process now, most of them are going for, and AICT is also making it mandatory. Then they have to go for this outcome-based education, and then higher order institutions have to be focused on. But actually, the right ratio should be 40, 40, and 20. They need to follow, sir, this particular ratio. But I don't know, it's sad that they are not following it.
My question is actually, is there any necessity throughout India, same what you call at BTech level, the BTL level should be like this, or MTech level like this? So do you suggest any such model? Or?
Yeah, we have a model, sir. 40, 40, 20 is a model that has been given. I've seen in one of the examination reforms, one research paper, I've seen that, sir, where they have clearly mentioned that it should be 40, 40, 20. And even if I'm not wrong, one of the engineering colleges, which is a reputed engineering college in the Twin Cities, they also have from 2 years, they're following the same 40, 40, 20 principle.
Anyhow, very nice presentation, madam. So shall we move to the next presentation, sir?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions? Okay, if there is no questions, we can move to the next participant.
Okay, sir. Thank you, madam. Thank you, Anita madam and Fatima Reddy. Thank you, madam. Thank you for presentation and participation. We can move to the next participant. The next participant, Kamarul Haku and also Abdul Islam. The paper title, Measuring High Educational Service Quality During the COVID-19 Pandemic, a case study on the private university. You can start your presentation, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
Am I also videoable? No, I can't see myself. Am I videoable? And let me share. I click on the share And ma'am, should I go to screen now after click on share?
Yes, click on the share.
Yeah, I
Select
did.
your PPT and share. You can click on the share button.
I did click on share. Then
Then is screen or application? Which one?
okay. Do you have to click on screen on application after clicking the share? Am I video? Am I visible?
Madam, this is Ubaidul Islam. There are two options after clicking on the share: screen and application. Which option we should use? Screen. Screen sharing.
Screen, sir. Screen.
Okay, please. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
screen sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, screen. Then no, I'm having trouble.
Otherwise, you can mail your PPT to madam's email ID, which is sent previously, please. Dear Hath.
Okay, may I email to my co-worker, co-authors, Dr. Ubaidul Islam, and he will be sharing.
Fine, fine. Okay.
Dr. Ubaidul Islam, are you there?
I'm here.
I'm having trouble with also. Am I videoable?
Yeah, I'm sharing now. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I
It
do
is
see it.
visible.
Yes, I do. May I start? Is that okay to start now?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir. You can
Sorry
start.
for being interrupted. Good morning, everyone. This is AKM Kamru Talk, and my co-author is Dr. M.M. Ubaidul Islam. Both of us work for FBA, Faculty of Business Administration at AIUB, American International University of Bangladesh. And we work on measuring higher education service quality during the COVID-19 pandemic, a case study on private university. And if I have to tell something about background, and here, can you go to background, please? As you know that we are all facing, this is not new, anything new to say that how we face the pandemic COVID-19, and which interrupted also on higher education system. The world had to shift from their offline system to online system suddenly, but not necessarily. It was very easy for all of the universities or educational system. Now, and it heavily interrupted on schools, college,
Can you
university campuses.
please wait a minute? Sir, can you please wait a minute? Those who are talking, those people, please. Remaining people, please. Can you please mute, sir? We are getting disturbances, sir.
Okay. Campuses where mass people
Okay, sir.
gather.
Please carry on.
Thank you. Where mass people gather is highly risked to spread the COVID-19. And that's why all the academic institutions had to close. And it is vastly disruptive, but may also be driving forces for an unprecedented paradigm shift in higher education institution. Though almost everything is being open nowadays, but still WHO, World Health Organization, did not announce the free of risk yet. Therefore, we have to keep in our mind that there is a possibility, and also WHO said that there's a uncertainty going on still. So we really have to be careful. However, that's not our that's we are not going to focus on. Though we did have lots of problem, but AIB was the first university in Bangladesh who were able to move suddenly from offline to fully online platform. Now, question is, how was it happen? How? What are the reasons? Here, in the research question, I would like to mention that did technology, because of the technological preparation, and played the vital role to conduct the classes? Did management commitment and continuous support help them to make the online classes success? Did teachers and students experience technology ease of conducting classes smoothly? Despite having problems with the technology, economic adaptability by teachers and students, how was it possible to conduct the classes in the online platform? And as you know, especially in Bangladesh, there are also load shedding problem, though it reduces, but still there are some problem in a remote area. But still, how it was possible to run and conduct our classes smoothly? The literature review, we did have some literature review, and Talukdar said in 2021 in his article that facing COVID-19 pandemic, AIB strategy have developed a case study on how American International University was the first to move from offline to online within even a very short period of time, within 4 days. That I would like to mention here. Islam and Hawk also mentioned in their empirical study that impact of COVID-19 on undergraduate students' academic performance in a developing country, a private university case, and it says that there is a significant difference of students' academic performance measured by the grades between face-to-face and online distance learning methods. In another study, said, written by the same authors, have found that there is a significant difference of marketing students' academic success between face-to-face and online learning and learning process. Also, Nahar wrote on 2020 on her paper, the title was Impact of COVID-19 on Private Higher Education Institution in Bangladesh, College and Challenges and Policy. Responses investigate the likely impact of COVID-19 on private higher education institutions in Bangladesh. It was a qualitative approach of the paper based on the interviewing and educational to students, three key areas: general impact assessment, teaching and learning, and future impact of COVID-19 on PHEI, which is private higher education institutions. COVID-19 may create a barrier to the successful growth of tertiary education in learning of dropping enrollment in the coming academic years. This study also indicates the PHEIs may face trouble in the salary payment of their academic and non-academic staff. And I would like to, we just ignore the literature review. Let's move to next one. Methods and materials. This is conceptual paper, an ongoing paper, didn't finish yet. This paper is presented mainly on the basis of published literature and authors' experience on working online platform. These authors were involved with the sudden transformation. Significance of the findings of this paper will be empirically tested in the future research. As a part of this study, a survey questionnaire is distributed to the student for data collection about success factors. Subquill model will be using by Parasuman, and our intention, the author's intention, to find out the gap between the expectation and perception of students while we were conducting classes online, which is our plan is to find out the individual. There are 5 dimensions, as all of us know, 5 dimensions in subquill model, and every single dimensions will be find out for the gap between expectation and perception. Then total will find out the total expectation, then total perception. Then this is our observation that we'll be finding out that whether there is a gap or how much the gap, and that gap will let us know that whether how much we are success conducting online education. Now, our findings from the literature uh, and experience that because of the top management commitment and their motto, matter of fact, their motto was socially distanced, intellectually engaged. That's the motto, motivate all of us to just shift quickly and become success on online education system. And matter of fact, the AIB was the member of MS team since 2008, which was the main platform to conduct the online classes. And not only the classes, we used MS team in a variety of ways that made our life, students' life, easier to upload the question. I mean, did essays, presentation, update notes, electronic books, and so on. So we did use MS Team in varieties ways. Technical support, and we AIB teachers, management, students were very much used to use the technology, like huge. All academic activities at AIB are very much familiar and already is processed from long time, from almost beginning of the university. Note cloud, like huge is we do have automated streamlined process for admission, registration, online counseling, adding, dropping forms for anything and everything. We did upload the courses and also results as well as through the automated streamline process. And also we do have views from many years. Views means VUES, which is virtual university education system, that really made our life easier because we are very much familiar with that. So nothing was surprised, neither to students nor to management and teachers. So those are the things really made our life easier to cope up the new system, that is online system, because of the pandemic. Also, HR activities are under automated streamline process also, like payroll, leave, employee attendance, and so on. We are also familiar with the e-library, borrowing books, dropping the books, returning the books, and so on. So these are the things that really made our life easier and able to cope up and runs our classes successfully. Now let's move, please. Our research will be very much useful for academician and also for other universities authorities in such a way that what are the regions that EIB was the first to introduce in Bangladesh to introduce the online classes smoothly and run smoothly. So it will help other universities also to take preparation. Nowadays, many universities already prepared, probably, but not necessarily all. But we all should be prepared for also upcoming pandemic if there is any. Hopefully not. Let's move, please.
Kamal bhai, you conclude without slide, please.
Here we suggest the conclusion. We'd like to suggest all the higher academic institution to be prepared for any upcoming uncertainty. Therefore, all the academicians and institutions really need to be familiar with the online system and other automated streamlined process. Thank you so much for listening, and sorry for interruption of the system.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Any questions from the participants and judges? Any questions from the participants and judges?
I have no questions, madam.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Islam, sir, and also Kamarul. Thank you, sir. We will
Thank
go
you
to
so
the
much
next
for listening.
presentation. Yes, yes, sir. Thank you. We will go to the next presentation. Dadurya Nayak M and Dr. M. Sujata. And the paper title is Identifying the Issues, Challenges and Opportunities for the National Education Policy 2020. Islam, sir, kindly stop sharing, sir.
Let me stop sharing. Okay, I think it is right. It is already.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes,
sir.
yes, sir. Okay, the last participant is pending, sir. Now he is not available in the WebEx. Once I will call and also I will inform him. I already informed, but once again I will call and tell you, sir. Thank you. Please wait. We will proceed for the next paper presentation. The other names Dr. Dadurya Naik M, Dr. M. Sujata, and the paper title is Identifying the Issues, Challenges and Opportunities for the National Education Policy 2020. You can start your presentation, sir.
Will it be the last presentation of the day, madam, in our session?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
This is the last one.
I'm audible to you? Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Hello. I'm audible to you?
Yes, audible.
Right. So, yeah.
Sir, it is audible. Audible.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning to one and all. Formally, we are in virtual conference, international conference. Myself, Dr. Dadurya Naik M, and my co-partner, Dr. Sujata M. So we are doing a small research in within a couple of days. So we are giving a small concept. It's a basic and fundamental concept regarding higher education. So my title is Identifying the Issues, Challenges and Opportunities for the National Education Policy 2020. So in this regard, just I give a small introduction about that. So since prehistoric time, India has been renewed as a prominent educational status like Taxasila, Nalanda, Vikram Palabai universities, and testimonies our great educational heritage. These institutions of higher learning have contributed to the advancement of science and technology, in addition to create eminent scholars according to the other. Under this leadership of its current Prime Minister and an expert group comprised of people from various backgrounds, India has devised and planned to implement a new education strategy, Double India New National Education Policy for the next decade of the 21st century. After a 34 years history, true and serious attempt has been undertaken to overhaul India's educational system. After 1968 Commission, 68 and 1986 Commission of Education Policy, the new education policy of 2020 adopted by the Union Cabinet in 2020, the third national education policy in the history of independent India. So here I can stress one point: we must adapt our curriculum to meet the ever-changing demand of society. So we all know, discuss, and observe the many things across the nation and as well as the global. So right. So we must adapt our curriculum to meet the ever-changing demand. So as per my observation, some discussion is going in conference. So means where is the lack of things? Is one is maybe some educational institution, but one is educational institution, they cannot provide, they cannot frame the curriculum, the right curriculum to industry era. They cannot meet. I observed that I'm the department of MBA. Still, we follow the rules of some institutions, like not institution, universities. They change 10%, 20% to meet the industry era, to meet the society. I feel like that when I was studied MBA, right, in the year of 2006, the same syllabus we are teach here. There is no change. So as per the institutions, as per the requirements of industries and society, so we must adapt our curriculum. Then only we can reach our educational system and maybe build a strong. So that is one of the most impact factor. So right, and the next coming to need and significance of my research study, according to the annual status of education report, 35% of rural private school studies in grade 5 cannot read a basic grade 2 paragraph. It is one of the wonderful gap. According to the same report, the private schools remain more inaccessible to girls than to boys. And also it states that 47.91% of boys attending private schools compared to 39% of girls. It is a statistical report. Still we are in that era. While the Indian education system and subsequent government policies have made steady progress in closing gender and social category gaps. At all levels of school education, great difference still exists, particularly at the secondary level, especially for socio-economically deprived groups that have historically been understood in education. Additionally, special education is separately needed in several sectors of schooling. So last 2-3 years, it may increase somewhat better, right? So I observed in my schooling onwards, in my personal experience, it's happened. It's really in the rural areas. So it's this statistical maybe in the recent. Still, that only there they can give the 35%, but they can take maybe a sample, but we can go through the rural areas. I think, I hope, I feel my personal it more than that. Rural private school studies in grade 5 cannot be read a basic grade 2 paragraphs. They're unable to read it. So because of lack of education system, the lack of educational policies and educational instructions in the rural areas. So these 2 points are very, very important. That so in this regard, new education policy will meet the demands. So coming to some highlights of modern education in India and as well as the milestones of modern education in India. Education under British rule. Under British rule, British administration, India was the birthplace of modern education. India had its own education system before to the British, including Gurukulas and Madras. During its first 60 years of region, the East India Company paid little attention to the education of the policy they rural in India. So in this case, there are 3 commissions that worked for British control in India to develop education system. Woods Dispatch in the year of 1854, Hunter Commission 1882-83, and Sutler Commission 1883. Their policies and methods broke the legacies of old schools of learning, necessities, and creation of modern system. Yes, they have to change some kind of education system since the British government. The next milestones to change by the Jawaharlal Nehru, his views on education. He was the first believer in scientific knowledge and promoted logic and reasoning as the foundation of all learning. Yes, we know that. Yes, this statement, this quotation is very, very important according to Nehru. Still, we all move towards a scientific knowledge and promoted to logic and reasoning. Without this logic and the reasoning, so we cannot implement the applications into the organizations. That's very, very important. As per Nehru thought that education importance is one of life extend beyond academics to include one's economic objectives and as well as a social contribution as well. And also provide high quality higher education through institutions like IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, and Indian Institute of Management made a significant contribution to Nehru's vision of self-sufficient and modern India. So it is a huge gap. It is also developed and thought by the Nehru. It is a wonderful concept, but there is a huge gap in between Indian Institute of Management and state universities. What is the gap? It means maybe a curriculum. The curriculum. The students is always students. We should frame a suitable curriculum. We provide a suitable curriculum to the students. The students automatically they can learn. The students have the capability to learn today's era. So what I feel that so for the educational institution, it may be a state or central, they should be changed. They should be change their curriculum. That is the most important. That is meet to the demands. So IIT, so their IITs are providing, IIMs providing with their full infrastructure. Why don't we provide to in our states? It should be improved. It should be improved all aspects, till all aspects. The next, another development of our education system under the IAQHEI Commission in the during 1964 to 1966.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse
Yes,
me.
please. Yes, please.
Nearly 18 minutes is over. So you have to concentrate on your main theme and also you have to conclude.
Yeah, right, sir. This remaining the 2 slides only. Okay, right. Thank you very much. So 1966, the IAQHEI Commission, they give the pillar of Indian education policy was the made education free and obligatory for all children under the age of 14. So they can develop the languages like Hindi, Sanskrit, regional languages, and 3 language formulas. Still in our state government, they can fight with our languages, which is languages are better. So definitely we will improve that languages. The language which is for Telugu, universal language like English, and maybe our national language Hindi. These are very, very important. So what I feel, all languages are very important to meet the demands. So why? Because we have studied some X place, but we work another place with a different MNCs companies. So in that there is the integrations of languages are there. So all languages are equal importance. Then coming to the last points, the National Education Policy 2020. After 68-86, Union Cabinet approved the new education policy of 2020, which is the 3rd new education policy in the history of independent India. Before implementing the modifications, the center met with all state government and received comments from the around 2.5 lakhs gram panchayatis and 6,600 blocks and 6,000 urban local bodies and 676 districts. So they're based on the comments that can be modified the policies. Board exams, another point I have to stress here, the board exams for the 10th and the 12th grade will remain, but the current system board and administration exams will be enhanced. The students will be free to choose whatever course they want to take the board test for under the new arrangements. That is a very, very important. So means a student choice based education. Right. The next point I have to highlight that under the new education strategy, the 10+2 system will be phased away within the focus on reducing the weight of the material on students and streamlining the board exams. The school curriculum will be changed with the new 5+3+3+4 curriculum framework instead of 10+2. Yes, it is some enhancing the new education policy. That is one of the important criteria to meet the education. And in the first 5 years of schools, 3 years of pre-primary school as well as class 1, 2 have been included for the foundations. That is should be implemented in the new academic year next 2023. So it result of the classes 3 to 5 have been added in the next 3 years phase. In class 3, 8 will be spent the next 3 years in the middle phase. So like that, by 2030, the minimum degree qualification for teaching is 4 years integrated like a BA degree. And by 2025, the plan will be established to attain at least 50% learners vocational education through the school and a higher educational system. As per new education policy 2020, education cannot be commercial activity. It cannot be commercial activity. The present government strong believe this the government has attempted to transfer government schools under the Nadu Nedu program, that is today's tomorrow's, and make them more attractive than the private schools. So and as a budgetary allocation of rupees 12,000 crores has been made for the Nadu Nedu program in 2019-20, which seek the transformation government school into vibrant of the competitive institution with a quality infrastructure. So coming to my conclusion, India is the world youngest country with half of its population under the age of 25 and third under the age of 35. So we know all, our world and India completely depends on new young generation. So these all new young generation can depends on their literacy, means education system. I hope that education is a wonderful weapon to each and every human. So what I can say here is our Indian education system has to be changed based on the society, India, and industry era. Right? Thank you very much to providing me this opportunity. Thank you.
Any questions from the participants and judges? Any questions from the participants and judges?
Hello.
Yes.
No questions,
Yes.
madam.
Sir, is it your paper is a review paper or you want to propose something?
Just
You
review
made
papers.
a analysis, but
Yeah.
do you want to propose a solution for this problem?
Just review papers. Just review papers.
Review
Just
paper.
what I identify, just review papers. It is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Neil Prakash Garu, I think you want to ask something.
No questions. No questions.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sir. Daduri Naik garu, thank you, Andy. Thank you for your participation and presentation. You can leave the meeting, sir. For all the participants, you can leave the meeting. Only the judges, you can stay here. Only the judges, you can stay here in the meeting. All the participants, you can leave the meeting.
AKM Kumrul Haq is still there. So please kindly ask him to leave, madam.
అదే మూవ్ చేస్తున్నాము ఒక నిమిషం వెయిట్ చేయండి సార్ పోస్ట్
మీటింగ్ లోకి వెళ్ళి రామ్ చేయండి, అదే అవసరం. వాళ్ళు వెళ్ళిపోయితే
Avian Murthy is also a participant, it seems.
మీటింగ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇదేగా మీటింగ్ స్టాటస్ సార్ మీటింగ్ దానికి లాస్ట్ లాక్ మీటింగ్
మ్యూట్ చేయండి.
ఓకే, గుడ్ ఈవినింగ్ ఎవ్రీబడి. సో శివరాగయ్య గారు అండ్ ప్రకాష్ గారు and Chandraprakash Garu and Jagan Mohan Rao Garu. Good evening. Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good
I
afternoon.
think we have good afternoon. I think from yesterday and today totally we have 9 papers we have presented. I think 9 papers have been presented. So as per your choice, I think already I think provided you the evaluation sheet with different marks. Okay, kindly fill up and send it through mail. To mail to me or IQAC office. So Jagan Mohan Rao Garu, I think you are having you are also provided you. Jagan Mohan Rao
Sir,
Garu.
I will mail you, sir.
Okay. I will mail me. Jagan Mohan Rao Garu. Sivanaya Garu.
Yes, sir. I will mail you, sir.
So what is your opinion about just briefly?
Yeah, if you ask me to pick up first 3 among the best 3 among the 9, my first choice will go to paper number 5, Kavita, Charu, and someone from MIT.
Okay.
My first choice, and the second place will go to Professor Anita and Fatima Reddy from Hyderabad, paper 8.
Okay.
And coming to third choice will go to Mr. Praveen Kumar.
Okay.
Mr. Praveen.
Better you send, sir. I think we will analyze here. Actually, what is happening here is the full papers we have received only very few full papers, and also out of this one, several papers having a higher plagiarism. Higher plagiarism also is there. So those plagiarism, all the things we have to omit. So as per your choice, please provide the marks and send it to us so that we will analyze it.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Bel Prakash Garu, Virpada.
Sir, I will
Prakash
mail
Garu?
you my. Sir, I will mail my marks to you.
Okay.
In
And
my
Jagan
purview,
Mohan Rao Garu?
actually, this Anita madam did fairly well. It seems actually her analysis and more relevant to the.
Okay.
Sir, Anita, I think.
Okay, anyhow, మీరు రాయండి మీరు దాంట్లో మీరు మార్కులు బట్టి మేము చూస్తాము.
Okay, sir, alage. So I observed Raghavaraju presentation actually, though it is a higher order plagiarism is there, some 73%, but in spite of that, his presentation was good, sir. So you just kindly consider that also.
We'll see, sir. We'll analyze.
Okay, right. Okay, no problem.
Okay, sir. Anyhow, please send the marks. We will analyze here.
Sir.
Okay.
కొంచెం మీరు కొంచెం కైండ్లీ అప్రిషియేషన్ లెటర్ ఒకటి పంపిస్తే బాగుంటుంది సార్. అంటే మేము మంచిగా చేసినందుకు సో దట్
all judges will send a certificate to all judges.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sir.
Prasanna madam.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
So now
sir, take leave now.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Jagan Mohan Rao Garu.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for accepting this invitation and also participated from yesterday to now. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your participation. You can leave. Thank you.
Okay, Jagan Mohan Rao Garu, I will